We Are Texas, progressive news where we always keep it local and we always keep it real.
Speaking about keeping it real, Rob, I was looking the other day in the Chronicle. The staff writer wrote an article about billionaires' good intentions for journalism comes with high risk. It sounds a little ominous. What's he talking about?
Yeah, so there's this thing happening locally, which is kind of big news. And that is that the Houston Endowment, in partnership with the Kinder Foundation and Arnold Ventures, very well-known philanthropic organizations in Houston, in the Houston area, have announced they're putting $20 million into a new local news outlet. And so something like the Texas Tribune, people are saying. And so this article that Chris Tomlinson writes, he's a business writer for the Houston Chronicle, is a little bit hesitant about whether or not this is a good thing. What do you think, Vince?
Well, I think more news is good. I think that, whenever you have more information, and basically like what we're doing here, is basically aggregating the information, aggregating the news, and trying to keep it real. And I think the more voices that you have out there, it provides a lot of perspective, and people will find the news that they want to hear. I feel like what Mr. Thomason is scared of is that corporations like the Chronicle might lose a whole lot of money as a result of this.
Yeah, in fact, he says it explicitly. He brings up this example when he was in Africa at some point. He saw that the United States government had been delivering free corn into, I believe it was Tanzania. And that was great for some people. They needed it, except the local maize producers. And so they went out of business because why would you pay for local maize when you have free corn from outside? And so he compares that to what's happening or what could potentially happen here in Houston with news, which is why would you pay for a Chronicle subscription when you can just get free news from this new nonprofit news outlet? So what do you think about that comparison?
Well, I don't know about you, but when I think about this, I think about in the 90s, and you might have remembered this too. In San Antonio, and I grew up, there was the San Antonio Express News, and there was another newspaper. In Dallas, it was the Dallas Fort Worth Telegram and the Dallas Morning News. And I think a corporation like Hearst bought a whole bunch of them and consolidated them. And now we only have one newspaper in each of those municipalities, which is basically, I don't think is a good thing. This is why I always think good. Yeah. More is better.
Yeah, in fact, my family was a Houston Post family until like the early 90s when the Post went under and Hearst Corporation shoved the Chronicle down our throat. Now, I like the Chronicle. I support print journalism, but I think that it needs to evolve. I think that this article is very self-serving. That article, the worry about competition from nonprofits is very self-serving. I think journalism is evolving. Folks like you and me are doing commentary on local stories. We're not doing beat reporting though, and we could use more beat reporting. And that's what I think this local news outlet is saying that they're going to be doing. And so the more possibilities to have people being paid to do journalism, I think the better.
Right. So I think that what Mr. Thomason is also not really understanding is you don't have to work for a Hearst Corporation to get paid to be a journalist. And I think that with this disruption with things like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, what you're finding is that people who may not be able to afford to go to college to become a journalist, but has the skill and the desire to become a journalist, can do these things. And with all these different platforms like Patreon, they can find and finance their journalism, which I think all of us benefit from.
Yeah, that's right. Now, unfortunately, there is a lot of disinformation out there. And so we have a flood of bad stuff out there. And so there is real value in doing high quality journalism. And that's something that I think is a valid concern. But I do think the more the better. We're still learning this new environment, this new technology of instant access to information. Correct. And I think that what this will do is further push the kind of outdated news outlet of the Hearst Corporation into a new way of competing in a market. Now, I also think we need to understand that we shouldn't have rose-colored glasses.
Right.
Whoever produces the news does it from a perspective, and whatever this news outlet is, this new thing, is going to be produced from the perspective of the donors who funded it. So,
Rob, breaking news. Yeah. We don't have a lot of time. Okay. Yes. What do you want our viewers to take away from this? What do you want them to know about Mr. Tomlinson and and what do you want them to know about this stuff?
Yeah, I think you should consume more news. I think you got to pay attention to what's happening in the world. Support your local news outlets, but the more the better, I'd say. Consume, consume, consume.
All right. I agree. Go get out there, subscribe, because, this is media, and I think we have to roll it.
Let's
Rolling.
roll it.